Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. If you're new to my channel, my name is Rita and I usually do book review videos, but this week I thought I would do something a little bit different. As some of you may know, I am British and Portuguese, and so I realised that whenever I'm speaking English to my friends here in the UK, I end up using a lot of Portuguese expressions, a lot of Portuguese sayings that don't really translate, or I feel like they translate, but the confused look of people around me quickly makes me realize that they do not. So, and because my friends keep saying that there seems to be a Portuguese saying for every single situation, I thought I would share my top 10 favourite weird Portuguese sayings of all time. So if you've watched Audrey Hepburn in Breakfast at Tiffany's, she says at some point, I forget the number, that there are X number of irregular verbs in Portuguese. And yes, we also have those, making it a very fun language to learn. But also, we have many colloquial expressions that I find absolutely hilarious, and I will be sharing some with you now. First one is one of my absolute favorites of all time, and we say, and don't worry, I will be writing these at the bottom of the video so that you can see how it's spelled, and it is pôr a mão no fogo por alguém, which basically means to put your hand on the fire for someone. Now this is one that I thought would just naturally translate, but usually when I say it, people don't really seem to know what I mean. What it basically means is you would not be confident enough that someone is a good person. So imagine that someone says, oh, the other day I met this person, I think you went to school with them, and I really didn't like them. And you would say, I wouldn't put my hand in the fire for them. This means that you don't necessarily have any information to indicate that this person is definitely terrible, but you also haven't seen enough of them to say that, yes, fairly confident they are a good person. So it's just a great expression, because how else would you say it? I just absolutely love it. The second one is a very common one, and again, I find myself, whenever I'm speaking English, lacking a proper way of expressing this, and it's dor de cotovelo, which basically translates to elbow pain. And in Portugal, if you were talking about something and all of a sudden you just went like this, everyone would know what you're talking about. It basically means jealousy. So imagine that you are talking about, I don't know, your old high school bully or something, and your friend would say, oh, clearly because you were the cleverest, they just had elbow pain. Dor de cotovelo in this case. So that basically means they were just jealous of you. And I know that in Brazil, for example, they have another expression, which is beijinho no ombro, kiss on the shoulder, and it basically means the same thing. That person is just jealous of you. I don't really know why it's called elbow pain. I'm guessing because it really freaking hurts when you hit your elbow on something. So I'm guessing that's where it comes from. Number 3 is a pretty funny one. It's os cães ladram e a caravana passa, which translates to the dogs bark and the caravan goes by. Now this basically translates into hate is gonna hate. It basically says that you are going to do you are going to do whatever you think is right, regardless of anyone else's opinion on it. So in this case, you're the caravan, the haters are the dogs. Again, it's a pretty visual expression and I just love it. The fourth one is a slightly rude one. It's vai dar banho ao cão, which basically translates to go bathe the dog. And this would be a not too rude way of saying bugger off to someone, basically. Go away, just leave me alone, that sort of thing. But because it's said in a way that sounds pretty ridiculous, it makes it less rude and funnier. So number 5 is one that I've loved in a really long time, even though I don't think I've ever heard anyone in Portugal ever say it, unless it was just completely sarcastically. and it's Macacos me mordam, which it sounds ridiculous just saying it, which basically translates to monkeys bite me. Yeah, that's literally what it translates into. And I only remember seeing it, for example, in translations, when translators are trying to come up with an equivalent expression to something really old sounding that no one really says anymore, like woe and Ellie. Like, it's that kind of expression. Like, no one actually says it, but it's hilarious. And it's basically the equivalent to something like, oh goodness. It expresses shock and surprise, but again, in a wonderfully random way. Now the sixth one, number 6, is one that you will hear everywhere. So in every single family gathering, someone will say this. Portuguese family gathering is not a Portuguese family gathering until someone refers to o tempo das vacas gordas, which basically means the time of the fat cows. Now, what do they mean by this? They mean a previous time of prosperity that has been lost now. In Portugal, it's usually referred to the period when I was growing up, the 90s, so the pre-crisis period in Portugal, when generally people lived better, were more prosperous before the crisis hit, and lots of people kind of had a bit of a rough time in Portugal. So people would say, in the time of the fat cows, when we could go on nice holidays and things like that. So it's something that people will refer to a lot. And again, it sounds completely random, which I just love about it. Another one that sounds completely silly is Tira, o cavalinho da chuva, or something like podes tirar o cavalinho da chuva, which basically means you can take the horsey, literally horsey, out of the rain, which basically translates into forget it, it's not going to happen. So if someone says, oh my gosh, like we should totally go clubbing, and you're the kind of person who hates clubbing, you would say, you can take the horsey out of the rain, it's not going to happen. So don't ask me why. Don't ask me why, what the relevance is of the horse in the rain. I have no idea. But it just sounds wonderfully weird. Number 8 is one that I absolutely love, and it's Assim só se estraga uma casa, which translates into that way only a house gets ruined. And you would use this expression when talking about a couple, so a romantic couple of people where you don't like either one of them. So imagine that your friend is telling you that her awful, awful ex has just got together with someone and that they are also awful. And rather, it's the equivalent of saying something like they deserve each other, but it sounds much more positive. So you would just say, that way only one house gets ruined. And you're kind of seeing the positive in it. Basically saying they're both awful, so they'll be together, and and that works just fine. And it's just, there's no equivalent in English, and it's such a great expression. Number 9 is another very common one, and even though people would probably not use it that much, you would definitely, everyone in Portugal would know exactly what you mean, which is Nadar, nadar e morrer na praia, which translates into to swim, swim, and die on the beach, which basically means that you would use it when you have put so much effort trying to get something to happen, and then at the end it all comes down to nothing, when you are so close to getting it and it slips from your hands, kind of. So for example, I have spent months preparing this one application, researching for it, writing it. I went through the various stages that I should have gone through in order to eventually get it, and I will be finding out in a few days whether I got it or not. If I don't get it, I would say, I swam, and I died on the beach, which basically means I worked so hard, I went through all of these stages, and in the end, it was all for nothing. I can imagine whenever I visualize this, the picture that comes to mind is Michael Palin in Monty Python's Flying Circus, when you have that completely ragged old man like just rushing through the waves and into the beach only to say it's. And so I always imagine whenever I hear this expression, that old man just collapsing onto the beach, and that's basically the kind of image that it conveys. And number 10 also kind of relates to the last one, which is Ficar a ver navios, which basically means to, God, how do you translate that? To stay watching the ships, basically, or to remain watching the ships. You would say this when, again, you were kind of hoping for something and you were completely disappointed, or when you were making plans for something and in the end it didn't happen. So you could say, for example, like I booked this amazing holiday to this exotic place or to this place that I always wanted to go to, and then the trip got cancelled, like, I don't know, because of, I don't know, a pandemic. And so you would say, and so I was meant to be in Rome right now and I ended up watching ships. That's what you would say. And it kind of relates to the other one, because in one hand it's also like you planned all of this and in the end it all ended up in nothing. But it sounds way funnier that way. Okay everyone, so that's my video for this week. If you've enjoyed this video, then please like it and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of my future content. And if you have any ideas for videos for me to make in the future, then let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next week.